Decorators, how can you charge more money and still win work? I'm going to take you through my sales process now. Some of you might think this is cheesy. Hopefully it helps a few of you out, but the sales process is basically when you go to quote a job. So I'm going to pretend that I am quoting this room with a customer who isn't actually there. I'll do a little bit of play acting and then I'll narrate and just explain why I said what I said. Hi, Mrs. Jones. Thanks for seeing me. 2 seconds. I'll just take my shoes off. You know what, Mrs. Jones? This is an absolutely lovely space. I take it this is your lounge, is it, when all the furniture's in and stuff like that? Yeah. So these cracks on the ceiling here, are these the ones that keep coming back, are they? I can actually see there where you filled last time. I tell you what, just bear with me 2 seconds. Let me get a couple of things out of the van and I'll have a proper look for you. Yeah. Right, so no problem. I know exactly what's going on there. So what's happening is you have plasterboards here. There's one. There's another, there's another, there's another. And this is the corner where they all meet. And where the cracks are is actually the edges of the plasterboard. And what's going on is the plasterboards have actually dropped down slightly. And I know that because there's a little bit of movement in them. So what's happening is you are filling those, but because there's movement, it's just the cracks sort of opening up again. So what we need to do, there's a couple of ways that we can go about fixing it. We'll try one and then we'll try the other. Ideally, what we do is we just find where the joist is. You see there's a joist around there and there's another one there. So what we're going to do is probably drill through the plaster and the plasterboard into the joist and then pin it back with some drywall screws. And what that'll do is it'll just stop the movement. And once we fix that, we can just carve the crack out, fill it with normal filler, or even fibre fill, something like that, something with a little bit of flex in it, and it won't come out. And if that doesn't work, which I'm sure it will do, if that doesn't work, what we'll do is we'll use some screw tape over the crack, and that'll just knit everything together, and then the flexible filler over it again. Either way, what we'll do, we'll do that. You won't get the cracks coming back. And then what we'll do, because you've got sort of a lovely big room like this with a big ceiling, the ceiling is actually quite an important feature. So what we'll probably do is use a specialist ceiling paint like WRX Ceiling Paint Pro or Decorator Anti-Reflex like that, something that's soft white, and it'll come up absolutely lovely. Right, so there's a few things I've done there. Number one, as I came in through the door, I took my shoes off and I made sure the customer knew that I was taking my shoes off. The customer doesn't know me. I need to make sure that they know that if I am let loose in their house, that I am going to take great care and attention around. The other thing I did was I complimented the room. I don't know if you just have a little look at this room, but it's in decent nick. But I mean, the carpet's hideous and some of the other decor is quite dated. I complimented it. I said it's big. I didn't say that it's a nasty carpet or anything like that. Again, I need the customer to start getting excited about obviously what the room is going to look like. And then I addressed the issue that they were having with the crack, and I explained the process in detail. So this is for a few reasons. If I'm going against another decorator, they're likely just to come in, even if they know what they're doing, they're likely just to sort of come in, explain, yeah, we'll fix that. We'll stick 2 coats on the ceiling, 2 coats on the walls, 2 coats on the woodwork, blah, 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 blah. I need the customer to know, number one, that I know what I'm talking about. Number two, that I am going to do the job properly. And number three, that there's quite a lot of work involved in what I'm doing because, like I say, I'm going to put a half decent price in on this. I need the customer to know that I am going to go the extra mile on the work, and that justifies, obviously, the extra cost. The thing is product specification. This is another thing that a lot of decorators don't do. Nice big room like this, if I'm talking about making a feature of the ceiling, again, I want the customer to be excited about what the room's going to look like. I need the customer, ideally, I mean, some customers have their own sort of opinions and know exactly what they want you to use, which is fine, fair enough. But if I can establish myself as the expert and let the customer trust me to make the decisions about what materials, what paints are best to use on each surface, the job will go a lot better. And the other thing as well, it doesn't hurt to mention products that they probably haven't heard of in the past. Just because, again, it's especially ceiling paint to use on the ceiling, it's got to be better than the bog standard white mat. Right, I'll show you the room for a minute. So this is genuinely a big room. The ceiling's not particularly high. It's dated. Everything is in decent nick. There is probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 litres of wall paint needed. There's 2 radiators that side. There's a door frame. There's a little bit of skirting board. Obviously, the cracks I discussed with the customer on there. There's a couple of cracks there that need sorting out. They've just been caused, obviously, by the heat from the stove. And there's a border to take off. I could probably get this boxed off in 2 days. However, I'm going to allow 2.5 days for it. I don't charge half days, I only charge full days. So I'm going to charge 3 days for this room. And I like to charge roughly £250 a day. So That's £750 labour. As far as materials go, bucket of ceiling paint, I know I'll have some left over. Like I say, the walls are probably 6 litres, maybe 7 litres, will easily do it. I'm going to charge for 10 litres. And then the woodwork paint, the trim paint, there's not much, call it 50 quid, something like that, plus 30 quid sundries. So whatever that is. Anybody any decent at maths? So call it £260 in materials, £750 labour. I am looking at just over £1,000 for this one room. I'm going to get some pelters. Like I say, a lot of decorators don't charge that much, but the point of this video is how can you charge more for your work and still win it? And the other thing to say is a lot of homeowners, obviously they see it from the other side. It can be very, very difficult for a homeowner to get a decorator. You'll know that just by sort of talking to the people that you go and see, talking to your customers or whatever, and they'll talk about, oh, we had a chap round, but he didn't bother putting a quote in, or I had a chap round and he just sent me a text with just a number on it and that was it and stuff like that. Or the last decorator was booked in and he didn't turn up. So if you go and see a room like this and then within a day you have the price all written up properly via email and maybe via post as well, that gives you an incredible advantage over 90% of other decorators that are around. And all of a sudden price isn't important because you are reliable, whereas they are not. Right, so I'm going to put around about £1,000 in for a room this size, which I think most decorators would say is decent money. I mean, like I say, there aren't many decorators out there who couldn't get a room like this boxed off in a couple of days to a decent standard. I've allowed 3 days. So there's a few things going to happen. If I win this work, number one, I'm going to earn decent money, obviously, because I put a decent price in. And number two, I'm not going to kill myself because it's dead easy to get this finished in a day, 2.5 days, let alone 3 days. So there's not going to be any rush. I'm going to be able to plod on, get this room boxed off, and then I'll be away on to the next one. Easy life and a decent living. Done everything right. I've come to price this, decent sales process. The customer knows that I am going to do the job properly. The customer is going to take my product recommendations. They see me as the expert. I've proven that I'm reliable because I've got the quote back. But how many jobs with new customers going in at a decent rate am I likely to win? It's not going to be 90%. It's not going to be 100%. You can forget it. If you are going to price yourself sort of mid-range or low range, you will win most of the work. Going in high, you might be looking at 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, which isn't a problem. A good friend of mine, Pete Wilkinson, I can't remember whether he said it on Facebook or whether I read it in one of his books. He said that the secret to having a successful decorating business is to build up a load of good customers. And it is the good customers that pay the decent rates. You don't want the bad customers who won't pay the decent rates. So as long as you have enough work coming in, that you can afford to go and spend a little bit of time on the sales process, on the quoting process, and you are winning 1 in 3 of the jobs. They are the new customers. Once they have accepted the quote at a decent rate and you've come in and you've impressed and you've done a good job because you're using the right materials, you're not skimping on anything and you're not rushing to get it finished, next time you come to price the work for that customer, they are going to bite your hand off straight away. So like I say, this has probably come across as either cheesy and pathetic or condescending, but I just thought it was worth me putting my thoughts out because I see decorators on Facebook struggling all the time, coming out with stuff like, oh, I can't charge that in my area. If you are only charging, say, 150 quid per day as a decorator and you are working your jobs out like that, you are going to struggle financially and then your family is going to struggle. Decorating is decent money. Running a decorating business is hard, but the wage you get from it is decent. So don't struggle. There are a couple of sort of business help resources that I've sort of used in the past that I've learned quite a lot from and I'll read, and it's decent information. The first is, I mentioned him earlier, Pete Wilkinson. He's got a series of books out, the pricing book in particular, and the specialist decorator I found really, really useful. And the other one is John Mears. So John Mears, again, has got a series of books out. John Mears is more about the sales process, but obviously the marketing process as well. So the idea is if you are only winning 1 in 3 jobs, it's fine as long as you've got 3 times as many jobs coming in as other decorators. If you do have any other ideas about how it should be done, if I have done something in your opinion that is wrong, or you do things slightly different, feel free to drop me a comment. I'll try and get back to a few of you. And like I say, I've got this place for the next 6 weeks. So if there's any other topics that you want me to cover, let me know and I'll do my best to jump on and get as many of the questions answered as I can. Thank you very much.